Hello, and thank you for viewing this tutorial on how to navigate and complete the Single-Family Housing Section 502 Direct Worksheet for Computing Income and Maximum Loan Amount Calculator. My name is Shannon Chase, and I'm a Finance and Loan Analyst with the Single-Family Housing Direct Division of National Headquarters. Presenting with me today is Rachel Christensen, who is an agency team member from Iowa. Rachel was instrumental in the development of this automated tool, which was implemented by the program in January of 2017, and she's remained instrumental in updates to the tool. This tool does not replace the Eligibility Summary in Unify or other agency loan origination system. This tool may be updated periodically, so it's important to use the latest version that is posted to the agency's website and SharePoint for agency team members. This tool helps loan originators and packagers organize the applicant information when they are entering data and promotes consistency when calculating income using various methods. There are instructions throughout the tool that will help you to navigate it more quickly and determine what you need to put into each cell. While this tool is predominantly used for income-related calculations, the current version of Form RD 1944-61, the Credit History Worksheet, has also been incorporated solely for the convenience of agency staff. Staff may also use the most current version of the Credit History Worksheet that is available on the eForm site or which is generated from Unify. The information you enter into this tool will need to be kept with the applicant's file. Whether you are an agency team member or a packager, please make sure you are keeping a copy of this information with your applicant file. The tool is formatted to print in a clear manner with distinct page breaks. If you are an agency team member and are uploading this to the electronic customer file system, you can either print it to PDF and upload, or simply upload it in its original Excel format. In addition to the income calculations on the first tab, the tool also includes a Payment Assistance and Maximum Loan Calculation tab, a tab specifically for cosigner information, as well as a tab for Form 1944-61 Credit History Worksheet. So to give you an overview of how the tool looks when printed, and to help you get a better perspective of the tool's layout, Rachel has the print preview pulled up on your screen. This will give you kind of a bird's eye view of how the tool looks and how it flows. So we have our introductory and summary information on page 1, which you can see on your screen. The second page is asset information. You should see that there. The third page is the applicant income information, which we'll cover in more detail in a few minutes. The fourth page is a separate page for co-applicant information. And then pages 5, 6, and 7 are identical. And these can be used for other adult household members' information. Or if you have additional income information for the applicant or co-applicant that you need extra room for, you can also use one of these pages. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail later. Next, you can see the Payment Assistance or Maximum Loan Calculator. And that's followed by the cosigner information. There we go, see the cosigner page. And then lastly, Form 1944-61. And there are 3 pages of that. So hopefully this gives you a general idea of what the tool looks like as a whole. So now we're going to exit the print preview and go to page 1. And anywhere that you see a red triangle in the upper right corner of a cell, you can hover over that field and you will see a pop-out with instructions like Rachel's demonstrating now. So you see the yellow pop-out. It's very important that you take a few minutes to read through the instructions and get acclimated with how the tool is set up before you begin using it. When you do begin using the tool, please read those instructions again as much as you need to until you feel comfortable using it. Also, you will note that on the first 3 tabs, large areas of the tool are grayed out, with many of the fields being solid white or orange. The white and orange fields are fillable, meaning that the user can enter or select applicable information in those fields. The tool is locked to prevent changes to the formulas and formatting, so the user can simply tab between the fields that are unlocked in order to enter the necessary information. So as you can see at the bottom of the screen, and Rachel will move her mouse down there to display the 4 different tabs. So the one we're currently looking at is the Income Calculations tab. If you click on the second tab, you'll see the Payment Assistance and Maximum Loan Calculations. There's information that will pull over from the Income Calculation tab into the Payment Assistance or Max Loan tab. So we recommend that you always fill out the information on the Income Calculation tab first. The third tab is the Cosigner tab, and that's followed by Form RD 1944-61, which is the credit history worksheet. And we'll show you examples in a little bit. So with that, I will turn it over to Rachel, and she'll walk us through some of the highlights of this tool and plug in some examples as we go along to demonstrate how the information flows. So Rachel, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Shannon. First off, like Shannon mentioned, the first page is more of a summary page. So we'll start entering some figures, and I will show you how things work as we go. So first, we're going to enter the application number like you typically would, and then we would enter an applicant's name. You'll notice next to the applicant's name, there's also, these are blue, so they're hyperlinked. And so if you would click on that applicant's name, it would take you to the applicant's income page. And at the bottom of every page, there's a link to head back to the top. And this is the same as the co-applicant, and all household members as well have that feature. So I'll just keep entering here as we go down just to kind of give you an idea on how it works. You would enter their names. The next section is the totals box. Gives you a running total of the whole household, and it will auto-populate to this field. So this field is locked, and I'll show you once we get some numbers in there how this works. As we move down, the income summary is next. It will show each name of the household member, and the third one will show you how to enter it in a minute, and it'll give you the breakdown of repayment and annual income for each member. The down payment required field will auto-populate from the assets, and again, I'll demonstrate that in a second. So as we go down the summary page, the first page, the next section is the income limits. So you would select a household size. So we're going to say, for this example, we have a household of 4, and then you would select a state. So we could choose Alabama, and then you would choose a county. So let's just do Butler County. And you can see the income limits have populated for that household size in the state and county indicated. The income category will calculate once we get the income all in there, and it will determine which category it fits in. Next is the expense and deduction section. So you could choose your child care, and you'll see the pop-up box came up that you can choose an annual child care expense. So I'll just show you how that works. So say we would put that in there. It would bring it over to the totals column for expenses. If you would have an elderly person in the household, you would choose either yes, there is elderly, or no. So if it's yes, you'll see the 400 was populated over here in the column. And you'll choose the number of dependents. Let's say we have 1 dependent. So you'll see the 480 dependent deduction populate. If you would have medical expenses, you would enter those in a weekly, biweekly, monthly, or yearly format. So to show you how that works, we would do, say, a monthly amount, $250 a month. And it would come up with the total medical expense. Once we get income in there, it will deduct the 3% of annual income and bring over the total in the totals column. At the bottom of this page, you can utilize a name for your loan approval official, a reviewer, a date, preparer, or if there was someone reviewing those figures, you could put if you concurred or not with those figures. The second page, as Shannon mentioned, is our asset page. And this page is broke up into 4 sections: net family non-retirement assets, net family retirement assets, assets disposed of for less than the fair market value, and assets considered for repayment income. So to start up at the top, you would select a family member. So you can choose whether it's the applicant, co-applicant, or household member. So we will choose the applicant, and we will say they have a savings account. We're going to say the value of that account is $21,000, the current cash value of $21,000. And we're going to show that they have $100 income from that asset. You'll notice the down payment section has a yellow box now showing that they need a $6,000 down payment. And you'll note the assets greater than $15,000 for non-elderly or $20,000 for elderly households have to be considered for down payment. I'm going to scroll back up here to the first page so you can see that now the down payment required field shows $6,000 in it. If we would have chose an elderly household, you'll see that's changed to $1,000. So that'll automatically figure it depending on the type of household you have. As we continue down the sheet, anything from the top 3 sections of the asset sheet will automatically populate down here if it is the applicant or co-applicant for repayment income. The only thing you'll need to choose down here is if the actual income from that asset is stable and dependable to count for repayment income. So for this purpose, we are going to show the $100 is going to be used for repayment income. And then there's a section down here if you want to add additional information or remarks. This amount will pull forward or pull up to that first summary page to show as repayment income and as annual income, since we did count it as both. And I'll show you that at the end. As we continue down, now we are to the applicant's income page. And just to kind of give you a summary of how this page works, you'll see the name pulled down. There's an applicant total box, which will total the repayment annual and monthly annual income from what we select. And you will select these using the orange box. The orange drop-down box, you specify whether you want to use that income for annual, repayment, or both incomes. You'll still need to show your work 4 different ways, and then you would select which income is stable and dependable for repayment and which one you would want to use for annual income. We continue on. There's a date calculating tool. This tool is used when you're calculating year-to-date income, and I'll show you how that works in a second. And each page of this has a total household income amount. So as we enter income in, this box will continue throughout the worksheet and will populate and have those totals so you can see them on any page. So let's enter some income in here to kind of give you an example how it works. So let's just say they make $15 an hour, 40 hours a week. So it shows their income here. Say we also know their historical for 2016. It's around that amount. And then we have year-to-date income. So we have a pay stub that shows they've made this much, and we know the date of the pay stub. So we're going to put in the first of the year to the ending date of that pay stub. So it'll automatically calculate that's 279 days. So we just have to come over here and input that amount in there. So it'll show that amount. So we have the income in there a few different ways, and so for this purpose we're going to show you how to select what you want to use that income for. You would use this orange drop-down box. You'll see the label comes up that it could be repayment, annual, or both. So for this one, we're going to use just the annual, and it'll automatically populate to the annual income. And then we're going to use their year-to-date as repayment income, and it should bring that figure up there as well. It'll also show down here in the totals box. To give you another, show you another thing on this worksheet, how it works is the non-taxable income. So if you had income that's non-taxable, you'll see that at first it calculates it, and then it grosses it up by 120%. You could only select this amount for annual, and the grossed up amount can only be used for repayment. For SNAP benefits, you'd put in your monthly SNAP benefit. I'll show you how that works. You put in $200, and then there's the not to exceed value that it will compare it to, and then you can only use that for repayment income if you wanted to use that amount. We're going to put, for this purpose, we're going to put it into repayment income, and it should populate up here as well. So there's kind of the applicant's page, just to kind of give you an idea. There's several other different ways to calculate income on here. There's the average. You can put in figures into each of these spots, which will total down to this one, and you can divide it out. There's also the self-employed income, and maybe I'll put in that on the co-applicant. And again, there's additional information or remarks. The co-applicant's page follows, and it's very similar to the applicant's page. You would select annual or repayment income, and you would show your work here on how you selected those figures. So for this one, let's put in a self-employed. We'll show that they have a photo business, and you would select their business structure. And then it gives references on all of these red little triangles on where this is found in the handbook, so you can go look at it for additional information. So we would enter, say for 2016, their self-employed income. And then we'll enter 2017, and then I'll average it off to the right. You can see the averages over here. And we're going to go ahead and select this to use for both the annual and repayment. We're going to select all of them. And you'll see they calculate in both areas. And again, the totals box is carried down into the co-applicant's page. Very similar to the applicant's page. And again, additional information or remarks on why you selected that income. The next page down, Shannon mentioned that there are several different uses for this page, and I'll show you how we can use that. Typically, it's the adult household members page, but you can also utilize it as additional applicant income or co-applicant income. So if we would select an adult household member, and we're just going to put in just a quick figure just to show you how this works. And if we would select both by accident, it would only put the adult household members' income in annual income because they would not be considered for repayment. If this would have been the applicant's additional income page, it would allow us to use it for both, and the same for the co-applicant. So this page is very similar, and the next two additional pages work exactly the same with the adult household members. So we're going to go up to the top and take a look at the summary page now. You're going to notice the totals have been brought forward. The down payment is there. The income summary is here. Oh, and I did forget to put in the adult household member's name. That page is left, the name is left blank. You can put that in if you would choose the co-applicant's additional income or applicant's additional income. So once we put that in there, it does bring that forward as well. To show you an additional feature, just real quick, if they were a full-time student, you would choose yes, and it would only show the first $480 for annual income for that student. You'll notice it used the income to determine which category it's now in. So they've determined that it is a low applicant. And they'll notice the 3% of annual income is now in there to give you the total adjusted annual income. So that's pretty much how the commuting worksheet works. And then we'll move on to the payment assistance and maximum loan calculator sheet. You'll notice that some of the information has been brought forward. The names, the county, the income level. You would need to choose the annual or the area loan limit. So we're just going to put in some figures in here so you can see how this works as well. You would choose whether it's an energy efficient home, and that would have to be constructed by qualifying energy efficiency programs. So you can see the handbook for that. If you would select that it was constructed that way, the ratios could go up by 2 percentage points. Annual taxes, you'll need to put in the annual amount. So we'll just go ahead and put in some figures. Again, annual insurance would need put in. And then you would need to put in their current monthly housing expense. So that way we can look at their payment shock. And this will automatically figure if they would be eligible based on their income for a 38-year term. So you know if you could put that in. Let's put in some monthly debts to kind of show how this works. Put that they have a car payment, $350. Also put that they have a credit card for $100 a month. And you'll notice the figures down here are adjusting as we put amounts in. We need to put in the interest rate, and we're going to need to put in the term. And then it'll show us the maximum loan amount available to this applicant. So then we can put in the amount of the loan that they are getting. So if they would get the maximum amount, shows where their ratios are, and all the figures just like the eligibility summary from Unify. So this is kind of summary how this page works as well. The payment shock is figured down here, so you'll see that. That could be utilized as well if you want to look at it for compensating factors if you need any additional information. And then we can move on to take a look kind of at the cosigner page.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. So just a couple quick notes here on the cosigner tab. Very, very similar to the income calculation tab that you saw for the applicant, co-applicant household members. But since a cosigner must meet the agency's eligibility requirements on their own, the cosigner tab is used to calculate their income and document their maximum loan amount. So the cosigner may not have a total debt ratio that exceeds 41%, including the applicant's full note payment, leverage loan payments, and the escrow. So a maximum loan amount will be calculated based on only the cosigner's repayment ability, and then this maximum loan amount will then be automatically plugged into the applicant's information on the maximum loan tab. So in those circumstances where you do have a cosigner, please just be sure to read through the instructions on this page and follow it accordingly. The next tab we'll talk about briefly is the Form 1944-61, the Credit History Worksheet. A revised version of this form was published on January 29th of 2018 in PN 507, and we've incorporated a fillable version into the tool here, as you can see, strictly as a convenience for agency staff. This form is not required to be completed by loan packagers. So that concludes our session, and once you have an opportunity to use the tool, please remember to view the triangles that offer guidance and instruction. And hopefully you'll find that it's a pretty self-explanatory tool and easy to use. The purpose of this tool is to promote consistency and reduce the chance for errors. So I'd like to thank Rachel Christensen for her work on this, and we hope that you find it useful. I can be reached at 515-305-0399 or at shannon.chase@wdc.usda.gov. Thank you for your time and enjoy your day.